All right, boys and girls, this is to help us learn how to pluck on the cello. All right. Now, before we get started, we have some music terms that we want to go over up here. By the way, I'm on page 4 of your Essential Elements book. So the first one is beat, or the pulse of the music. We can feel this with our heartbeat, very steady, or like when the seconds of the clock go by and you can hear that tick, that's all a steady pulse. We measure our music through a pulse, okay? And we always want to keep a steady beat like that. Now, from those beats, we can also assign notes, okay? So we have our quarter note, which is one beat of sound, which means that when we see a quarter note, we're going to be plucking one of our strings, or when we get to the bow, using the bow. We can see a quarter rest, which is actually silence. In a lot of the music that you hear in everyday life, you hear sound, and then you hear things go quiet, and there's silence, okay? Silence is really necessary for music because it can make the music sound more purposeful or emotional. And you'll see that as we begin to play even more music in orchestra, okay? Then we have our music staff, which consists of 5 lines and 4 spaces. And on those lines and spaces will be the notes that we will play on the cello, okay? We have bar lines. These are those lines right here that separate one measure from another. And a measure are these little blocks that you see here, okay, that the notes go inside. So if you come down to Let's Play Open D, you can actually see there's one measure here separated by a bar line. There's another measure here separated by a bar line, a third measure here separated by a bar line, and a fourth measure. And inside those measures, there's quarter notes, which have a D inside of them, which means we're going to play open D. And then you see quarter rests, those squiggly lines, which means when we get to them, we're going to do nothing except rest, okay? So that being said, we're going to keep our cello seated against our chest and between our knees, like we learned in a previous video, making sure that our ears by our left peg here, okay, our C peg. And now we're going to take our right hand, make sure it's your right hand, and you're actually going to take your thumb. You can rest it along the side of the fingerboard if you want, and you're going to take your pointer finger to gently pull the D string to make a sound like that, okay? This is called pizzicato. You can see that word right here, which means to pluck the string. So again, find your D string, okay? It's the string right next door to A. It's the second highest. And you're going to gently take your pointer finger and just pull, okay? Gently. You don't have to do it too hard, all right? So now whenever we see those Ds, those quarter note Ds, we're going to play D. And whenever we see a rest, we're just going to stop and do nothing, okay? So that first measure of Let's Play Open D should sound like this. Ready, and D, 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 sh, all right? So following that pattern, let's see if we can do the whole Let's Play Open D exercise together. You ready? Okay, here we go. Find D. All right, 1, 2, ready, and D, 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 sh, D, 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 sh, D, 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 sh. Okay, good. And always be careful. See when it's 3 Ds in a row or 4 Ds in a row, okay? Now, if you had any trouble keeping up, that's okay. You can practice this as many times as you want when this video is over. Let's go on to Let's Play Open A. So now you can see there's an A inside of the note, which means we're going to go over to our highest string and pluck the A, okay? And we're going to do the same thing. When it says A, pluck A. When it shows a rest, just rest, okay? Let's try it. Let's play Open A. Do the best you can. So find your A. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and A, rest. A, rest. A, and stop. Good. Hopefully you were able to follow along. And again, you can practice this as many times as you want when this video is over. Moving on to Choose a Team and At Pierrot's Door, you see that they use D and A strings. So now you want to make sure that you know what string you're going to and when, because your pointer finger has to move to the string that it says to play. So one tip to help you out might be to just say the notes out loud. D, 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 rest. A, rest. D, D, A, D, 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 rest. Or you can say it or sing it. and point to the strings with your pointer finger. You don't have to pull them to pluck, but you can just point. So you have D, 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 A, 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 D, D, A, A, D, 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 rest. So even though I'm not making a sound on the cello from the strings, my finger is still moving so that when I do go to pluck the strings, my fingers know where to go even better than they would have before, okay? You can apply that same thing to At Piero's Door. But let's try to as a team, just for fun, okay? Here we go. Find that D string. 1, 2, ready, and D, 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 rest. A, rest. D, D, A, D, 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 rest. It's okay if it was challenging for you or you messed up, no worries, right? You're just learning this, so you have as much time as you want between now and your next lesson to really practice and say it out loud and pluck it as many times as you want, okay? Let's go to our last one, which is At Piero's Door. Now, this one is tricky because not only does it sometimes have you playing notes 4 in a row, but it also has you using rests, maybe 2 rests in a measure. So just be careful, make sure you're always saying rest when it comes up so you know not to pluck, okay? So here we go. Let's try At Piero's Door just for fun again, and then you can practice it more at home. We start on D string, okay? Ready, and D, 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 A, D, rest. A, rest. D, D, A, D, rest. Now these exercises only use D and A strings. We shouldn't be using G and D strings just yet. We will get to them later on in the year, okay? So you're going to practice all of these exercises on this page. There's even one that you can do on your own, I think down at the bottom. Oh, no, we did it At Piero's Door, so we're good to go, okay? But you can practice all of these at home on your own. Play them as many times as you want, saying them out loud, singing them, pointing to the strings, plucking the strings before your next lesson, okay? All right, boys and girls, good luck, and I'll see you at your lesson.